It's happening again, regularly, every week. It's time for another best of 5 series. This particular match is the finals of the Korean StarCraft League number 70. Spawning right here in the top right-hand corner. Representing himself on the main hatchery, we have none other than Dark. And you may have already guessed it, his opponent with the blue Protoss probes. We're looking at Heroes main Nexus. Last year, these two were playing against each other over and over and over again. And apparently we're back to that at least to a lesser extent in 2025 so far. For a little while there, they weren't really playing against each other nearly as often. But over the last few weeks, it's been happening once more. You know what? I'm here for it. These two have the uncanny ability of bringing out the worst in one another. And I mean that in the nicest way possible. I know it's difficult to really consider that to be a nice thing to say. But as a fan of StarCraft, these guys, when they play against each other, they tend to play some of the dumbest high-level StarCraft ever. And I enjoy it a lot. Yeah, they very much so seem to mirror the opponent's energy. You know how, like, when you go up against, like, I don't know, say a Clem or a Cero or a MaxPax, you kind of know what you're going to get? With Hero and Dark, I don't know. No idea. Depends on what I don't know, what food they step out of bed with in the morning, I guess. Like, whichever one goes first. We have a cheese food and a macro food. You never know what you're going to get. Every once in a while, they play a series where Dark is going for only proxy hatcheries. Well, that ship has already sailed. And you know what? Last time that they played, I think the last 2 times actually that they played, the games looked pretty normal. They weren't all too extreme. Like maybe one macro hatchery, but nothing all too crazy. It was mostly Hero going Oracles into Blink Stalker and then eventually Skytoss, which is essentially the gold standard. And Dark was playing, well, mostly like Roach Ravager, Roach Hydra, Roach Ling, that sort of style. Very little late game. A lot of Zerg players right now are not too fond of playing late game against Protoss. But you know what? Dark obviously has the opportunity to be aggressive, and the mid game is where he tends to shine the most right now. So let's see. Stargate opener. Hero has been favoring quite a few Void Ray builds. Not quite the Zound strategy where you're going Void Ray into Void Ray into Void Ray. But it's still a lot of Void Ray strategies with just a bit of like Overlord sniping and that sort of thing. Just a Void Ray to keep the third base safe and to deny all further scouting. But the real strength, in my opinion, of the Void Ray opener is that you can deny all scouting from the opponent. And Hero always goes Void Ray and then into Blink Stalker. So he starts off with something that allows you to deny all scouting from the opponent. He can theoretically build whatever at that point in time, and then he follows it up with the most ordinary Protoss build in the book. Which, I don't know if it... Yeah, there we go. I don't know if it's optimal, so I'm assuming with a Void Ray first, it will likely be Blink Stalker on the back of this, but I would love to see a Hero killing all the Overlords, denying all scouting, and then going something wild and wacky. Dark Templar. I want to see Dark... Proxy Nexus. Okay, no, that's... I find it unlikely that any of those things are going to happen. So what Zound has been doing with this build, and I think it's honestly really sick, you go Void Ray into Twilight Council, but rather than going for Blink, you go into a... Oh, I thought for a second he canceled the Void Ray. The last possible moment. Rather than going into an aggressive push with charge, you go into quick Skytoss. And it seems really cursed, because every single time we see a quick fortress or a quick like charge upgrade, usually it's for aggression. But he's been playing a macro version of that build, and it honestly seems incredible. It's really powerful against, well, Zerg 3-base aggression, 2-base aggression, and just really powerful to be transitioning towards the late game with. But nobody else other than Zound is currently playing that style. So we'll have to keep an eye out on it. Twilight Council together with a Forge. This is once more looking like a good old Blinky Boy upgrade. And honestly, if there is such a thing as a Blinky Boy build, Hero himself is the Blinky Boy. I'm not saying he's a Stalker. All I'm saying is that the Void is cold. No, but it's tricky. You have a lot of variety, but I think Blink is one of those things, right? So Blink is nice because you can play it in every single matchup. Well, we do have to go for something. It's 150 gas for Blink, so I'm assuming that's what we're doing. Oh! We waited until we had 150 gas and then went charge. Okay, well, that is one of the ways to do it. So this is what Zaun does. Then again, he might go for the more aggressive variant. So this is Void Ray into Double Oracle into Adept Aggression. Obviously, these Adepts are very late if you compare them to regular Oracle Adept pushing. Which is why Dark is also not entirely prepared for it anymore, because he assumed with the Void Ray start that he wasn't going to have to deal with this. He's been overdroning though, and it's fine. Like, even if he takes a bit of damage, it's totally okay. Walls himself in fully. He's got a door. Yeah. And Hero now is adding on gateways. There is not a quick Storm research, which is usually what Zaun goes for. This is actually the more old school variant. So this is Void Ray into Double Oracle, into Adept Aggression, into Charge All-In. Now, there's about 17 layers to that, and I don't know if it's great, but I can almost guarantee you that this is the last thing that Hero is expected to be doing. I don't think Dark is really making this assumption at all. And how in the world is Dark gonna scout this? This is a super late 8-gate Zealot push, but also he has no idea that it's happening. He needs to actually be making units here very quickly, because otherwise he just straight up loses the game. +1 is really strong, by the way, on those Zealots. It allows them to 2-shot Zerglings rather than 3-shot. And that upgrade is now finished. At this point, Dark will see the charge. It's interesting. He actually kind of spoiled the surprise. Where's all the additional Zealots? We have a whole lot of gateways. Can we warp in, please? Yeah, now he's kind of spoiled the surprise a little bit. I think he actually should have showed up a bit later. Still, though, Zealots do an awful lot of damage. Queen's awkwardly trying to tank for the roaches in the back, but this is buying so much time for Dark, who is just needing to stay alive here. That's really his only goal. Hero starts up Immortal production right now, so he is already once more transitioning away from this. Man, he's the least committed Protoss player in the world. Zero commitment at all, man. He's just hanging out like his 20s his entire life. What is happening right now, Hero? We're just doing a little bit of this and then a little bit of that, and then the next moment we do a bit of this. What sort of coin flip are we going for next? I don't think Dark was supposed to defend this. Hero had all of the stars aligned here to be able to go for this perfect attack. And then he was like, here, I have charge, by the way. And Dark's like, what? You have charge? That makes no sense. I will make non-stop roaches. Now Dark is the one who's thinking about being aggressive. Keep in mind, though, that Dark's economy is not that great. Like, yeah, he didn't have that many workers to begin with, and he never really rebuilt them. Those Adepts actually really hurt him, interestingly enough. It's the Adepts that have been bothering him the most so far in this game. Bzz, bzz. Little pulsar beam. Bzz, 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 bzz. Okay. Well, Dark has been treated so far like a punching bag. Dark's just been getting punched, man. The first time he went across the map trying to deal some damage, he once more scared himself back home. But I don't believe that he's ready to hand over his lunch money just yet. This is still a difficult commitment for Hero to make, right? Like, how do you now decide when to go for the next push? Yeah, the Zerg economy is not great, but also it's really hard to know exactly how much they have. I think it is safe to say, though, that Dark is very unlikely to transition towards Hive at this point. Like, maybe a Hive, but not likely Lurkers and all the rest of it. Vipers, maybe. But Dark in general is somebody who hangs around at Lairtech quite a lot these days, especially in his matchup. So I think it's safe to assume here, if you're Hero, that it is okay to slow down the game. A lot of Protoss players are favoring that more deathball-y approach. So, yeah, Storm and Fleet Beacon, I love it. Great idea. You know what time it is? It is time for Mama. Now, Mama is expensive. That's no news to anybody, but if Mama comes out of the Nexus, I think that's pretty much the game over. We need to save up a little bit of money. Or a little bit of money? A little bit of money. The mommy ship. Right. I tried to say mother and money at the same time. Got a brand new word. Or maybe not a brand new word. Maybe it's one that you regularly use. Anyways. One of those awkward rocks to be knocking down. This is just Dark doing map objectives. I'm not entirely sure. Yeah, Hero doesn't want to start up the mummy ship, or the money ship, or the mama ship, or the mother ship. He doesn't want to start any of it. Decides to smash his piggy bank, go for one Tempest. One Tempest may actually prompt a full transition, though, from Dark, who's going to need a Spire against this sort of thing. But Dark is going to try and hit his opponent in the face. He knows that if the mothership would be building right now, this would be a great opportunity for him to attack. Big storms, though, blanketing all of those units over here. Roaches have a lot of HP, but in the meantime, the Hydras are already melting across the board. And so far, none of the pockets of Zerg have achieved anything. Yep, fourth Nexus, totally fine. Natural expansion, totally fine. Third base, guess what? Totally fine. Here's that Void Ray from the early game. Still hanging out. And now we can make the money ship, although we don't need to. GG. Next up, we find ourselves on ley lines. Okay. What do we do this time around, Hero? Hero threw everything at his opponent in the previous game. A Void Ray, Oracles, Adepts, then Zealots. We had a bunch of Stalkers, Immortals. He was building a Tempest. We didn't see the mothership, but, you know, if I close my eyes, it's the only thing I see. So I've got a feeling this is not a bad situation. Let's see. Where do we take this particular game then next? Well, could be a Void Ray first again. Oracle builds, though, still the gold standard. Yeah, no, Hero doesn't really like the Spore Crawler buff all too much, apparently. So the reason why he's not favoring too many quick Oracles anymore is because of the Spore Crawler situation. Yeah, I don't think I agree with that, to be honest. Like, yeah, the Spore is a little bit more powerful, but ultimately it is... It's interesting how the Spore buff is also an indirect buff to the Void Ray. Because in the past, you needed to be making an Oracle or two just to be able to zap the drones away on the other side of the map and make the game somewhat even. But now that a lot of Zerg players are making Spore Crawlers to defend because the Queen is more expensive, you're already indirectly killing a bunch of drones because the Spore Crawler consumes the drone when you build it. So if Zerg makes 2 Spore Crawlers, they've killed 2 of their own drones plus the cost of a few, so it kind of works out. Anyway. The Void Ray in that instance is indeed going to be nice for denying all sorts of scouting. There is still an Overlord over here. Interestingly enough, he wants to get the cake and eat it too. So he's going to kill the far away Overlord first and then head back home for that guy. Look at little Otto the Overlord, dude. Look at him. He's like, I'm just going to do something. I'm going to scout the main base. I'm so useful. Do you think I'm useful too, Dark? You do nothing, Otto. Otto, we all know you're gonna die. That's, yeah, sorry. But this is the cold hard truth. If you spawn in as an Overlord, making it until minute 4.5 is, you know, one of your best case scenarios. Like and subscribe for Otto, everybody. Just to remember him, you know. Alright. Lair coming up right now for Dark. He's lost 2 Autos, but nothing all too crazy. Here's these Oracles once again, though. Doing their little mating ritual. Just a couple of pirouettes around the base, and then we commit. It's to align the lasers. Well, they're not doing much. I find stasis wards really mediocre. Like, if your opponent is not looking at it, it can be great. But also, it just doesn't seem like that great of an ability to use. Okay, well, never mind. Dark. Dark's got a new plan. He wants revenge for Otto. And he knows that, technically speaking, when the opponent has gone for a Void Ray like this, they can deny Overseers, Overlords, anything, right? Pretty easily. So the last thing they expect is an Overseer flying in to drop down a Nydus network. Now, is this Revelation within vision, it's not. So the Nydus network at this point has not been scouted. Dark may just go for a forward one instead. I would have loved to see an Overseer going around though. Like first Nydus over here, second Nydus in the main, that sort of thing. Maybe we can still try and sneak an Overlord across, I wouldn't mind it. Okay, well he's gonna go for the one right over here at the front. I believe that means that the Queens are gonna be taking the subway. Yeah. Everybody step into... Watch your step, just get in. And we're gonna go straight across. That's beautiful, man. It's a very quick subway. Well, the ladies are already walking. Ooh, that's a way to, I guess, get behind that wall. You just get vision of it and throw the Nydus network right behind it. Keep in mind that Queens can no longer transfuse off creep, and they haven't been able to in a while. Back when these builds were popular, that... Oh, hello. Hero, wake up. Okay, back in the day when these builds were popular, that's what changed. They took the shortest little metro stop here. But suddenly, there is a Zerg infestation inside of your natural expansion, and it seems to me that Hero was not prepared for this at all. We don't have a Roach Warren, we don't have a Baneling Nest, we don't have a Hydra Den. All we have is Zerglings and Queens. Well, and Nydus Worms, I guess, but that is pretty obvious. 24 probes have gone down. There's still a leftover bunch of Zerglings that are working on the third Nexus. So even if Hero somehow, some way gets rid of all of these units over here, and he might, his economy is still absolutely destroyed. We have an infestation pit on the back of this, so maybe Dark's even thinking about, dare I say it, Swarm Host? Maybe Hive. But I mean, it could be Swarm Host. Let's see. Okay, so the Forge upgrade, I mean, this is mostly just Hero looking around his bases, wondering what he could possibly be producing at this point in time. Yeah, he needs to come up with a plan, so he doesn't really have any idea what to really go for. So Dark just goes into the +1 melee. I think that's a good idea. Just let the Protoss player come to you. Maybe send some Lings across the map to look around and see if there's like a, I don't know, a third base being retaken here. There's still even a Creep Tomb around, which is actually quite nice because Dark can see that these units have still not moved out. Yeah, don't reveal the links. Even though the Stalkers look juicy here, I feel like it's not really worth it. They're gonna slither away anyway, so he's just leaving some vision around, wants to see if there's any hidden expansion somewhere. Well, these Stalkers are looking good. Yeah. So now it means that there is pretty much only one opportunity for Hero, and that is to go for an all-in. Dark's double expanding in the meantime. Hive is about 2/3 of the way done, so that's what the Infestation Pit was for. If Dark can finish up Adrenal Glands, this game is 100% over. Still a scary Protoss army, though. Don't underestimate it. That trait there for economy was pretty good, as we do have an attempt at a Zergling run by, but... Worker-wise, Hero did lose a lot of troops, yes, but it's not like Dark's economy is that much bigger. It's just that you have to fight on creep right now. Okay. We have a couple of proxy pylons, stasis wards all around it. Hero's doubling down on the all-in. It's pretty much his only chance, but this also slows everything down a ton. I'm assuming we're gonna go into Adrenal Glands. It's really the only thing that makes sense here. And Dark not getting the best of traits. Okay. He didn't get Roach Speed, by the way, until just now. I guess the original plan was to go Ravagers, but he doesn't really know exactly what the follow-up plan is. Okay. Well, here we go. It's Stalkers. Stalkers and a Sentry. I know Oracle. Stasis Ward is extremely useful. Oh, accidentally target fires down his own Creep Tumor there. Does get the basketball to land on top of that Sentry. Queen's in the front still, ready to soak up some of the damage. Transfuses are available, so he is going to use those. He's inviting the Zerg, though, to fight into this choke point. That's exactly why the Ravagers are so powerful in this situation. Does Hero actually bring this back? Is this actually winnable? I mean, those Stasis Wards in the back are making it very difficult for Dark to get a proper surround on this. There's a bunch of Zerglings at the very least giving it a shot, but the Stalkers are looking incredibly strong here. Supply count is actually starting to look real good for Hero. Oh, no. The Dark just... I mean, if you knock down the rocks, I think this would have been an easy-peasy defense for him. But now with the rocks up, the surface area here for those ranged units from the Protoss are actually insanely nice. More Roaches coming up. Adrenal Glands at this point halfway done. Dark was a little bit late on that. Keep in mind, though, that he still does have a significant economical advantage. So the longer that this goes on, the more stuff he should have. Hero is also going to start running low in the next minute for most of his mineral fields. He will still be able to sustain this for a little bit longer, but that is exactly why he decides to aggressively blink forward. Drones pulled away from their mineral lines as well. Is there enough for Protoss to actually push through all of this? So far, not a single worker has actually gone down. A nice sustain there for Dark, as he is bringing more and more reinforcements to the front. Adrenal Glands is just a straight up 40% attack speed improvement, and that is going to be really handy for those links. Whew, okay. I think with Adrenal Glands now finishing up, this is likely still Dark's game. But Hero made him fight for it. Yeah. No, this is starting to fizzle out. You can see immediately when that Adrenal Glands kicks in. It's just so much better. Okay. Well, Hero, we can stay in this game a little bit longer. Maybe type/dance when we have the Stalker selected. But I don't believe it's going to be capable of killing the entirety of the Zerg. He doesn't know, though, how many drones there are. Like, he has no idea how many workers Dark truly has at this stage in the game. So he's hoping that maybe Zerg is going to run out of money as well. But I don't believe there's a way out of this anymore. He doesn't have a third Nexus. We're 12 minutes in. GG. Next up, we find ourselves on Starchild. Dark did send a worker across the map. He really wanted to be building a hatchery over here, but sadly for him, he's been dealing with a Protoss player. Well, he's been doing this against this Protoss player for a long time, and because Hero's been dealing with it for such a long time, he's just not gonna take any damage from it. Okay, so at the very least, Dark gets to see that it will be a Stargate opener. No surprise in that department. This is, by the way, a map that has never made it onto the official StarCraft 2 ladder map pool. I looked it up after I recently cast a game on this. So this is indeed a map made by Maris. And this map actually won one of the previous Team Liquid map contests. I really liked the games that I saw on it back in the day. But even though it won the TOMC, it was not picked as a ladder map. Now, I have no idea about the map selection process and how and who and what the criteria are that Blizzard is looking for when it comes to the maps that make it onto the ladder map pool. But for some reason, Starchild was not chosen, even though this map is pretty good. So it's nothing all too crazy. It's just a solid, straightforward map. I don't really see any obvious mistakes or any obvious problems with it. But I've always found it interesting that we have these map tournaments going on, right? And ultimately, new maps get made. And then the maps that get chosen aren't the ones that rank in the top 5 of the TOMC. So there's like a long process. There's like a community vote. There's a jury vote. They asked me once upon a time if I wanted to be a jury member. I decided no. I don't know, dude. I don't want to. I don't know. I will judge from a distance. I will judge from a distance, but I don't want to be part of the official jury. Anyway, Oracle swooping in. Gets a drone. Second drone. Not bad. No, I actually declined at the time because it was going to take quite a few hours to do, and I couldn't stream any of it. Like, I wasn't allowed to, like, make content for it, so I was like, I guess I may as well just do the content and then upload videos for it and all that. And then, yeah, if you want my opinion, it's right there on the internet. There's only so many hours in a week. Oracle's swooping back in. Ooh, this is really good for Hero, though. Bzz, bzz. Yeah. He makes it look easy, but 9 workers is not something that most Protoss players will be able to get against Dark. Only just now is when the third Oracle joins in the fray as well. Yeah, in the Netherlands, we don't have jury duty, so I don't have to, you know, I don't have to accept. we don't do that over here, so you know it's we just hang out. I can decline whenever I want to. Nah, but it's I believe these days actually it has changed a little bit, but the point still stands though. I don't quite understand why we have an elaborate process for map creation and then whoever decides what the next map pool is going to be like just does whatever, it seems. There's got to be a process there, but there's no transparency. Dude, this is becoming too painful. 14 drones, not a single unit lost yet here for Hero. And I think what we are just about to witness is a inevitable decline. A very slow death animation here for Dark. Now any of the follow-up pushes from Hero are going to hit like absolute trucks. And obviously there's always a chance that Protoss messes it up. And Hero can be a bit of a... Hero can be a bit of a hero sometimes. He is known to... Okay, we're going to try and put our eggs in one basket. Dark decides to go into Aspire. He's going to attempt a big Zergling run by while holding down only the drone button. So he's been making Aspire and drones. That's about all we're doing. Excellent, excellent game so far, though, for Hero. You think he can win a game without losing anything? Well, I think that maybe goes a little too far. Problem here, of course, for the Zerg player is that he's playing against Blink Stalker. And while Blink Stalker are maybe not like 100% the preferred choice against Mutas, still pretty darn good. Maybe, though, Dark can catch his opponent off guard and suddenly appear. If he can suddenly appear on the other side of the map with a dozen Mutas, he can still kill a stupid amount of workers. First blood? Hey, first blood. Phenomenal early game, though, here for Hero. If he keeps up the pressure, Mutas are going to be difficult to produce. So Dark right now is saving up money. Nearly 1,000 gas here available. Yeah, he's going to produce a whole lot of Mutas. And then cross his fingers and hope he doesn't die to the Stalker push right now. And then secondly, also cross his fingers and hope that the Mutas aren't spotted. And then thirdly, cross his fingers and hope he finds one of those mineral lines entirely unprotected. Now, I find it an ambitious ploy. Excellent control here by Oracle, or by Hero on the Oracles. Ay, ay, ay. Really lovely game here by our Protoss player. Hero has extremely high highs, and then sometimes he's like full Ooga Booga or army hotkey, and it just looks a little sloppy. And then he's got games like this where, yeah, he's definitely the #1 Protoss in the world, right? Like, there's really no doubt in my mind. It's just so good. But then, you know, the next game he plays, it doesn't look nearly as tidy. Still a playable game, though, for Dark. I mean, I don't want to write him off. One thing that Dark has done very nicely in this game is hold down the drone button extremely aggressively. So I think he would have actually already lost if the Adepts did commit to aggression. But Dark looked at it, he's like, yo, I'm just going to hold down the drone button and, yeah, hope that the car is going to turn itself. I'm just going to put my foot on the pedal, close my eyes, and hope for the best. And he's kind of gotten away with it. Surprisingly enough, he's actually gotten away with it. Now, I still don't like the spot for him, but he's doing something, okay? He's been put into a corner, and, well, when you're pushing the corner, you make weird decisions. It's going to be full Muta. That's all we're doing. We're making Mutas. We're making Mutas into even more Mutas. Hero has decided, though, to just play this as safe as he possibly can. Yeah, so we go Fleet Beacon for Anion Pulse Crystals. This is... this is an upgrade we never see in 1v1 anymore. It is the +2 range for Phoenixes. Very useful, specifically when you're fighting Mutas. And this is the safest approach that Hero can have against Muta play. He knows Dark's tendencies, so Dark sometimes does this. A lot of Zerg players will make like one group of Mutas and then transition straight to Lurkers. Dark is now doing this Dark thing. He's pretty much the only one that does it. Who's going Mutas into Mutas. And already, you can see here, Phoenixes without the ranged upgrade do fine. Yeah, they're dancing. Unless Hero goes AFK and doesn't pay attention, those Phoenixes are already going to dominate the skies. Now, apparently Dark is... trying to see if he can counter this by making Corruptors. Okay, technically an option. And he does lose a few Phoenixes here in the end. The Pulse Crystals upgrade, though, is really nice. Because it makes the Phoenixes... Well, it gives them more range. And maybe even more importantly, their attack beams, they become pink. So, when your attack animation becomes pink, that is a big buff. Let's see. Yeah, Dark actually still making a game out of this, though, which is impressive enough on its own. Here comes the rest of the Protoss army. I think it's mostly because Hero is just playing this as safely as he possibly could have. Zero risk taken after the early game. Just keep on cruising. Yeah. Yeah. No, ultimately there's just not enough here. I thought for a second that it looked okay for Zerg. A lot of it came down to the blinks just not really blinking. GG. Whoa, 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 Dark. Oh my god. Sorry, what? I'm gonna back up. I've seen this in many, many ladder hero games, and it never works. Dark decided to go full Platinum League on his opponent here for a little bit, chase the probe with all his drones. Boom! Don't know why we grabbed all of the ones. We could have just... Anyway. Let's pretend that didn't happen. You know what? In the previous match, Dark didn't get a single kill until... like what? 7 minutes into the game or something like that? I don't know. At least we got that out of the way. Real quick. This is, by the way, why we don't generally do it. It's a very small dip in income, but if you don't kill the probe, it is not worth it. It is certainly not worth it. Alright, so, where do we go? Well, of course, it's a Stargate build. No surprise there. Adept going across the map. Ooh. Ooh. Nicely done. Killing the first creep tumor is incredibly important. Like, if you can get the kill, it just sets the entire game up for success. Now Dark is going to have to do another one of those creep tumors, and it doesn't really matter that much, but it does slow everything down. Like, the earlier you can snipe a creep tumor, the more hurt the more it will hurt the Zerg. It does make a big difference. Okay, we're going to try again. Protect it with your life, Brenda. We saw you poop on the edge of the creep. You don't have to be embarrassed about it. It can happen at your age, but keep it around. Very nice. Good job. Okay, so Oracle's going to spawn here in a moment. It's the second Oracle. First one already gone across the map. No Void Ray first shenanigans this time around. Last time we had like 14 kills with the Oracles. This time around, we're going to settle for a bunch of Zerglings that are being made in a cocoon. Good job. That counted as 1 kill, by the way. But that was 2 Zerglings inside of that cocoon. I would wager that the cocoon itself is a unit too. You could even consider that to be 3 units going down, but apparently it counts for only 2 kills. Well, 2 kills now. After he killed the second cocoon. Anyway. I don't know when Zerg life begins. We have the Adepts going in, though, and this is, again, hurting Dark a lot. This is too much damage, Dark. Way too much. At least he gets a bunch of those, Adepts right now in return, but Adepts don't have that useful of a lifespan, right? Keeping the Oracles around is important. Losing the Adepts is not that big a deal. 11 drones for 4 Adepts? That's a big problem. Dark's actually been consistently losing a lot of workers in the early game for years now. I've always found it pretty funny. One thing to note, though, is that Hero did this in such a way that his third Nexus was delayed for quite a while. Or at least, he did not go for the most optimally timed one. Focusing more on unit production here early on, so he needed to deal some sort of damage, and it clearly worked out. Still finding himself at a worker lead, but because the third Nexus is a little late, it doesn't actually boost him that far ahead. Still though, 11 workers at this phase in the game is nutty. Yeah. Soon we will have 3 of those Nexi getting chrono boosted. And it's not a bad idea. Here we go. Oh my god. If you're a Zerg player, you may want to close your eyes. I recently made a very similar recommendation for Protoss players in that Shin versus Classic series. That was a straight up painful set of games. Blunder after blunder after blunder on the Protoss' end of things. Well, this is not quite to the same extent. And it's Dark, so Dark can come back from pretty much any scenario, but this is not very clean. Ay, ay, ay. Ay, 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 ay. Well, killing the hatchery itself is a little overly ambitious. At the very least, Dark now gets to transition towards a Hydra then, and he can go into roaches and all that, but problem here for the Zerg is that he doesn't really have any sort of reliable timing attack anymore. When you lose this much economy early on, yeah, maybe you can continue playing the game and you can, like, you know, play macro and tech up and all that, but I think any mid-game aggression after you've lost 17 drones is pretty much done. Like, you can't really go for easy aggression. You can give it a shot, but you will end up with far less units than you would have if you've only lost half that amount of drones. Well, Hero is going to be the one, though, that will continue the pressure. Dark did cut a corner in the sense that he actually skipped that Roach Warren. I thought he already had made it, but he decided to skip it altogether. Maybe he was building it and canceled it. So I guess that makes up for maybe 4 or so worker losses. He's going straight into Hydras. If this would have been a, like, say, like a charge lot follow-up, I think it would have been game over. Really no way that Dark could hold that. Similar build as what we saw in the first game of the series. Not the case, though, in this particular match here. So Dark already doing a bit of a coin flip. He's going full Hydra Ling, and Hero is figuring that out brilliantly as he's decided to go into the ranged Colossi. Very nice. The laser giraffes. Not very good against roaches, but they deal bonus damage against light. So they're very, very good against, well, Hydras and Zerglings. Charge coming up. +1 armor coming up as well for Hero. He does have a round of Zealots in the top left-hand corner now. Some stasis wards just to keep this Zerg player busy. There's the Lurker Den coming up. First Lurker Den actually in this series, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. Templar Archives. Zealots decide to run in. I mean, I don't have charge yet, but... we can still use our swords for arms. Kill some Zerglings and maybe hurt a hatchery, just to buy some time. It may be cool to have swords for arms, but I do think it's highly inconvenient. Like, everything becomes more difficult. I believe they can actually, like, retract them, though. Do you think if a Zealot is sleeping, do you think it can sometimes accidentally, like, slice its own leg off? Like, what if it believes that it's in an epic battle right now and it decides to... anyways, I don't want to think about that. That sounds painful. Here we go. Big attack coming in. More Zealots being warped in as well in the top left-hand corner. Where's those Colossi? There they are. Literal skyscrapers showing up to shoot some lasers. Dark's gonna try and see if he can get this around, but nice stasis ward. Already anticipating that move there is Hero. Spore Crawlers, because they hit air, can hit Colossi. Very useful in that department, and this is still actually going reasonably well here for Dark. It's just that this doesn't have a whole lot of longevity. He's gonna need way more units, and since he doesn't have a Roach Warren, he doesn't have an easy way to get any of those units out. Like, he can't, like, he can continue making Hydras and Lings, but as long as those Colossi are out, yeah, it is just not going to happen. And just like that, it's Hero who obtains the victory 3-1, and with it, wins the Korean StarCraft League number 70.